those of you I have not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Amy Pasley, and my husband and I have been a member of this church for 29 years. 30 years ago, I was looking for a church to match my gown. Thankfully, we stayed. Now, two grown girls who grew up in this church, two dogs, lots of laughter and lots of tears later, we're thankfully still here. And 3 decades later, one of the things I start to think about is really where have we been and where are we going? As individuals, as a family, but especially when I'm here, as a community of faith. We're heading into our 200th year, and I look around to all of you I've known for so long, and I wonder, where do we fit in this epic story of this amazing community? You know, Tricon is, the Trinitarian has been a part of our community for so long, and it's been an important part of the spiritual life and history of Concord. We're in the fabric of the community. And, you know, back then, well, a little before then, that included Bedford and Acton and Sudbury. We were all one at one point. And as I read the history and I look back, the one thing that really stands out for me is we were a community that sustained itself through faithful perseverance. I try to imagine what it was like when those very courageous people decided to walk across the mill dam because their belief system was not aligning. And I just imagine how much courage that took, because there were some strong characters over there. And to come here and open our own meeting house, and to really honor their beliefs with courage and commitment. And then I sort of fast forward a little bit and I think, wow, what was it like here during the Civil War? Did people come here to look for answers? There were families divided. We were wrought with problems. Did we come here to look for solace? How about World War I, World War II, and all of the things that happened in between? And then I think about the 1960s, and I'm sure there's some here who could tell us a few stories. What was that like? And then 1924, when our congregation woke up and found out the church had been burned to the ground by an arsonist. And I think, what would I have done with that news? Would I have given up? There were members of congregations who didn't give up. Our congregation didn't give up. I'm sure they had many, many, many committee meetings after that event. And they rebuilt in a beautiful way under the direction of Henry D. Little, who went on to become a very famous architect. But then I bring it back and I say, well, what about my time here? I've lived through amazing times, challenging times. I remember a time, and I'm sure many of you do, when we had to have 2 services. The 10 o'clock service was just too full. When the church school was so full, we had to put up petitions in the basement to make more classes. I think I probably remember every time the youth group came back, because who can forget those? And there were 29 of them. And the feeling of energy and spirit in this church as they rose, as those kids gave witness to their experiences. I remember the work it took to plan and build our brand new parish hall, and the years of discussion about our organ. And I remember the first time I heard it, and tears in my eyes. But I remember the struggles it took to get those milestones, the disagreements, the meetings, the concerns about money, the compromises, this faithful perseverance. I also remember, and I know many of you do, our most difficult days, September 11th, 2001, when we lost one of our own, and our country was just in shock and mourning. Tricon became a spiritual beacon. I recall within days, this sanctuary, the parish hall, the stairs, we had a vigil. It was so full we had to open the doors. And it wasn't just us, it was our community coming to look for meaning. I remember when our church introduced the idea of becoming an open and affirming church and the conversations we had about that. and what that meant, and how we all had to take a look in our hearts, and how much that has changed and helped us to grow. I remember many joys, all the joys in our church family, births and weddings and graduations, and I remember the sadnesses, the illnesses, the struggles, the passing of so many wonderful people. You know, for 2 centuries, our church has persevered and flourished through the highs and the lows, but we've flourished as a congregation. And today, the stories and the lives of each and every person here is woven into the intricate mosaic, and it continues to grow the story in my life, in my family's life, in the life of the current community, in the past, and what's come before, and what's going to happen. So as we look ahead, and I'm so excited for all the stories of the 200 years to come out, we know there's going to be seasons of joy and celebration, but we also know there'll be challenges, even right now when the world feels marked by chaos and struggle. I believe deeply in my heart that the assurance that our growing church family remains steadfast, committed to sustaining faith, hope, and love. Together, we have so much to look forward to in the chapters yet to come. The morning offering will generously be given and gratefully received.